What's up, guys? Back with a full slate of MLB action here on Thursday, May 9th. Big winning day here on Wednesday. We absolutely killed it out there. We went 5-1 overall. Our only loss was the Phillies minus 150. We cashed our biggest bet of the day, which was the Dodgers minus 1.5. We also nailed the Padres minus 120. One of our biggest underdog picks of the year so far. We had the Chicago White Sox plus 205. They came through for us, absolutely no problem, so we nailed that one. New York Yankees minus 140, and we got the under there in that Boston-Atlanta game. So things just going almost exactly according to plan. Only blemish on the slate was that Phillies game, so things are looking very good right now. Let's keep things rolling here on this short Thursday slate with a couple of NBA playoff games thrown in. First, guys, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're linking today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Arizona comes in this game. They are looking good right now. They've won the first 2 games of the series and they've won 3 straight, but man, that last one was a close one for sure. We did see Montgomery throw 7 solid innings in that one, and the Diamondbacks probably don't feel fantastic about where they're at on the season at only 17-20, but hey, winning games right now, things are looking up a little bit. They're handing the ball in this one to Slate Ciccone. He's off to a 1-2 start with a 4.96 ERA and coming off not the best performance there against the San Diego Padres. Back on the third, he went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 6 earned runs on 5 hits. He got homered off of twice in that game, so not ideal. He did strike out 4, but that's kind of where the positives end. He was coming off of back-to-back very good starts against the Giants and the Seattle Mariners, so kind of disappointing here to see him struggle so much pitching at home, but I mean, maybe he'll be happy to be pitching on the road in this one where he'd found his success this season. He's a big right-hander. He's got decent stuff. I don't think we expect him to be terrible, and he's in a bounce-back spot, that's for sure. Arizona in general, though, hitting the ball, they've been hitting it a bit better recently. They definitely started off the season extremely well at the plate, but 11, 6, and 4 runs, maybe not up to their normal standards, and playing at the Great American Ballpark, they probably expected a little bit better than 10 runs through their first 2 games of the series, but hey, can't be complaining too much when you're winning games. They're 5th in the majors in terms of run score with 181, so nothing wrong with that. 8th in the majors in on-base percentage, 9th in the majors in batting average, but they're only 14th in the majors in slugging percentage. That's a number that you would think could maybe go up here a little bit in the Great American Ballpark. We see Marte off to a good start. He's batting over 300. He's got 7 home runs. We see Christian Walker is also off to a good start. And yeah, just in general, I think they have to feel pretty good about how things are looking, despite the fact they're only 17-20 on the season. This isn't exactly a team that came into the year with huge expectations. They're going to need to score some runs here going up against Cincinnati Reds, although Cincinnati not having a great time right now. They've lost 7 straight. Things are just like falling off a cliff here for the Reds after a reasonable start to their season. It's just not sticking together so far. I mean, they're 16-20 on the year now. Handing the ball in this game to Hunter Green. He's off to a decent start, we'll say. I mean, he's 1-2, but he's got a 3.12 ERA, so nothing wrong with that. His last time out against the Baltimore Orioles, he gave up 5 hits, but no runs over 5 2/3 innings. It's his second start in a row not allowing any runs. He dominated the Texas Rangers, giving up only a single hit over 7 innings in the start before that. He struck out 6 in that game. He did walk 4 against the Orioles, which you got to be a little bit careful with a Baltimore team that can hit the ball so well, especially when you're playing in a small ballpark, but a concerning trend that we are seeing for him. The Reds are only 1-4 in games that he's started this season, so we'll have to see if he can keep them in position to win a game and if they can score any runs for him, which has been quite the task here for the Reds as their numbers just continue to plummet. Nothing positive happening right now. We see them dealing with some injuries. We see Elly De La Cruz's production is falling off a cliff here. They're down to 16th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors, guys, in team on-base percentage. That is not going to work. That's not going to get the job done. Over the last few games, we've seen them score 3, 2, 1, 1, 0, 2, 4 runs. That's just not going to get it done, guys. That's not enough production. You're not going to win games. There's no way around it. Their pitching staff's not that good. Maybe if you've got a Seattle Mariners level pitching staff, you can get a couple wins here, but man, this has just not been the case right now for the Reds. Hitting, not looking good. The odds makers, though, are on the other side of this game. They've got a lot of hope here, a lot of faith here in Hunter Green. They've got the Reds at minus 120. We're looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks plus 110. And we've got an over-under in this game of 9. Looking at some more numbers, we see Arizona is 8-10 on the road. Cincinnati's only 9-12 at home. So, guys, I don't know. I feel like the Reds have to snap this losing streak at some point. So taking the Reds minus 120 seems fairly appealing to me, but also appealing to me definitely in this game is the under. I think we expect a bounce back here from The Diamondback starter, I think we see a bounce back here from Hunter Green, or not even a bounce back, another good start here from Hunter Green. So under 9 is definitely, I feel like, the best value in this game. We see Arizona 21-15-1 to the under, and Cincinnati's basically a 500 over-under team that's really struggling to hit the ball right now. So taking unders in the Great American Ballpark doesn't usually feel great, but I think I'm going to be on this one today. Next up, guys, we look at the Seattle Mariners going on the road here to take on the Minnesota Twins. We've seen Seattle only come out on top in one of the first 3 games of this series. They lost 3-1, won 10-6, then lost 6-3. So probably not too happy about that. They're 20-17 on the year, and they're handing the ball in this game to Logan Gilbert, who's off to a dazzling start. He's 3-0 with a 1.69 ERA, coming off an 8-inning 2-hit appearance against the Houston Astros. He did walk 4 in that game, but he had 6 strikeouts. Did not give up a run in that game. Just a dominant performance, and he's been off to an amazing start this year in general. No bones to pick with this guy. He has looked absolutely dominant out there. The Mariners' offense, on the other hand, though, not looking so hot. They did score 10 runs in that weird 10-6 game against the Twins, in what we would have previously considered very likely to be a very low-scoring series, but other than that, yeah, not a lot of scoring coming out of them. I mean, it's not surprising, guys, when you look at their numbers. They're only batting about .222 on average as a team. That's not going to work. That's 25th in the majors. They're clearly in the bottom third of the league in all the major offensive categories. We haven't seen anybody get off to a hot start for them. We see that as a team, their on-base percentage is only .302, which is not very good. Only 135 runs scored this season overall. Just not an offensive team that you can count on. They're going to have to score some runs here, it looks like, going up against the Minnesota Twins, who continue to hit the ball relatively well. I mean, in this series, they've scored 3, 6, and 6 runs, so that'll definitely work. They're 21-15 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Pablo Lopez, who is 3-2 with a 4.30 ERA, but he's coming off a very respectable start against the Boston Red Sox, where he went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, only a single earned run. He struck out 8 in that one. He's actually struck out 8 and walked 1 in his last 2 starts in a row, so that's a little bit interesting. He didn't fare too well against the Angels in the start before that, and he actually got touched up by the Chicago White Sox in the start before that, so he's certainly had his problems this year. There's no doubt about that, but in general, I don't think we have a ton we can complain about him. And the Twins' offense is definitely looking better. They're trending up right now. They're up to 14th in the majors in runs scored, 12th in the majors in on-base percentage, 10th in the majors in slugging percentage. Not necessarily a team that I would have seen being a bunch of sluggers, but it's working out for him right now. We see Ryan Jeffers off to a very good start, and yeah, this is an offense that's managing to put up some runs despite going up against one of the better starting rotations in the majors. It'll be interesting, though, to see if they can keep that trend going here against Logan Gilbert, who has been so lights out. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the odds makers have not as much faith as you would really expect in Gilbert, or maybe this is more of an indictment of the Mariners' bats. We see the Mariners are plus 110, the Minnesota Twins are minus 124 in this game. We've got an over-under, a very low number of only 7. We do see Seattle is 25-9-2 to the under this season, which is an MLB best to the under number, but man, that is a tiny, tiny number. I don't really feel like I can get behind that. I do, however, feel like I can get behind the Mariners plus 110 as at least a small lead in this game. I mean, Gilbert is just way too good. We've seen the Mariners win 4 out of his last 5 starts, so that's a bit encouraging. I mean, obviously you can't count on Seattle to score a ton of runs, but I think they score enough to get the job done in this game. Next up, guys, we're looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Giants are currently playing against Colorado right now in Colorado. They're up 8-4, and it's the end of the 8th inning, so I think they can feel pretty confident about getting the win in that one. They're getting a little bit banged up. They did just have to put another guy on the IL, so can't feel good, but they probably feel pretty good about winning this game, but getting to 17-21 on the season, that's not exactly what they had in mind. I'm sure they were hoping for a bit of a faster start here. They're handing the ball in this one to Keaton Winn, who's 3-4 on the year with a 4.41 ERA, and coming off a terrible, terrible performance against the Phillies, guys. At Philadelphia, he only lasted 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 earned runs on 4 hits. Just not going to work. He didn't have the good stuff out there, and yeah, just a terrible, terrible outing from him. Before that, though, he'd looked very, very good. He had won his last 3 starts, or at least his team had won his last 3 starts, and he had pitched at least 6 innings in all of those, hadn't given up more than a single earned run, so maybe we can expect him to be in something of a bounce-back spot, but that one probably didn't feel great. The Giants' bats are coming alive a little bit, though. They're going to have scored at least 8 runs in this game. They scored 5 in the game before that, so getting back on track after a very rough series against the Phillies. They're only 23rd in the majors in runs scored, though, 21st in on-base percentage. There's really nobody on their roster off to a hot start hitting the ball. I mean, there's a reason they're only 19th in the majors in batting average, so not a lot of positives to report here for the Giants hitters, but man, the pitching staff is looking pretty decent here in the early goings, or I guess not the early goings of the series against the Colorado Rockies. The Giants are going to be hoping they can keep this thing going here into Game 3 of this series against a Rockies team that's not having a good time. Looks like they're going to be 8-28 on the season overall. They're going to be hitting the ball in this one to Cal Quantrill. He's off to a 1-3 start with a 4.31 ERA, but his last time out against the slumping Pittsburgh Pirates, he looked very, very good. He only gave up 3 hits in 7 2/3 innings. He had 9 strikeouts in that game. He looked very dominant. I would say that was pretty solidly his best start of the season. He did have a good start against Seattle Mariners also, but yeah, I mean, early going, he got off to a good start, hit a little bit of a rough patch there against Houston, but then bounced back well against Pittsburgh. So I think we can expect relatively good things from him. Not something you can always say in games that are going to be pitched by the Colorado Rockies starters. The Rockies offense has been their real Achilles heel, though, guys. They're just not a good hitting team, which is pretty embarrassing considering where they get to play a lot of their games. I mean, you're hitting Coors Field, you would think you could be better than 25th in the majors in slugging percentage, but that's where they sit. They're 29th in the majors in runs scored, 20th in team batting average, 26th in the majors, guys, with a team on-base percentage of only .296. If your on-base percentage starts with a 2, you're not in very good shape. We haven't seen anybody get off to a fantastic start hitting the ball for them. They've lost 3 in a row. They're just not having a good time, guys. So looking at the numbers for this game, it's going to be no big surprise here to see that the Giants are significant favorites. They're -160 favorites, which kind of feels like a lot to me with the Rockies having a good starter out there on the mound, but man, with how bad the Rockies' bats have looked, I guess we can't really fault the odds makers too much. Rockies +138 doesn't really intrigue me too much. The Giants -160 seems reasonable, but a bit of a steep price, although they have dominated so far in this series, so maybe we could go with that. I think that will be our main lean in this game. There's also the over-under, which is all the way up at 9.5. I mean, obviously we're seeing 12 runs scored in Game 2 of this series, so maybe the bats are due to cool off a little bit here, and we have 2 decent starters out on the mound, so I also like the under 9.5 in this game. We've got San Francisco, they're 19-16-2 to the under. The Rockies are 19-16 to the under as well, so give me a little taste of that under, and if you really want to play the side here, I like the Giants a bit. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. Houston is not having a good time in the series, guys. They've lost the first 2 games. They haven't been particularly close. We saw the Yankees win 10-3, then 9-4. The Astros are all the way down to 12-24 on the season overall. Just not having a good time. They are handing a ball to one of the few players on their roster that is having a good time. That's Ronald Blanco. He's 3-0 with a 2.09 ERA, so looking very good out there, but he's looked a little bit gettable here lately. I mean, his last time out against a very weak hitting Seattle Mariners team, we did see him give up 3 runs on 5 hits over 6 innings. Not something we would have really expected out of him. I mean, he's an elite starter, or has been this season, but his start before that, he did get touched up a little bit by the Colorado Rockies. I mean, 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings is not a disaster by any stretch of the imagination, but just overall, he's looking not quite as unhittable as he was there in the early goings. The Astros bats have not been helping out anyone. I mean, they did score 4 runs in this last game, but losing 9-4 can't feel great. We have seen Jose Altuve, I guess, get off to a decent start. Kyle Tucker is hitting some home runs. He's batting .276 on the season, but man, this team all the way down in 16th in runs scored, 5th in batting average, 8th in slugging percentage, 7th in on-base percentage, but only 154 runs scored, 16th in the majors. That's not going to get it done, guys. Their pitching staff isn't good enough for those kind of numbers to be the norm, and yeah, they're not having a good time. They lost 4 straight. That record is looking pretty terrible. They're going to need to bounce back here against the Yankees, who are playing great right now. They've won 5 in a row. Offense is just clicking right now. They scored 19 runs over the first 2 games of this series. We saw Soto, Judge, and Stanton all homer in the same game in Game 2 here, so things just all clicking right now for the Yankees. They're hitting the ball in this to Marcus Stroman, who's 2-1 on the season with a 3.41 ERA, and he's coming off a very reasonable start here against the Detroit Tigers. 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 5 walks, though, which is a big concern. He struggled with his control at times. He's walked 5 hitters in each of his last 2 games. Gonna have to figure that out here if he wants to be considered an elite starter. I mean, he's a little guy, don't get me wrong, so we'll see what he can actually do in this game, but in general, his numbers look pretty reasonable this season. He's just got to get those walks under control. The Yankees bats have been putting their starters in very, very good spots here lately, though, hitting the cover off the ball. They're all the way up to 8th in the majors in runs scored, 2nd in the majors in on-base percentage, which is a fantastic look. That's been a consistent number all season long. They're 8th in the majors in batting average, 9th in the majors in slugging percentage. We see Juan Soto off to a great start. Judge and Stanton are coming around. Things are all starting to click for this loaded offense. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Yankees are -125, the Astros are +118, and we've got an over-under of 9 or 8.5 out there, so you've got some options where you're looking at that. But looking at this game, guys, I don't think we're going to make it too complicated for ourselves. I think we're just going to go ahead and go with the Yankees again. They're minus 125, which seems a little bit expensive here with Stroman on the mound, but we've got no faith in the Astros bats right now. The Yankees are hitting the ball extremely well. We've seen Blanco start looking hittable for sure, so things are looking positive. I mean, the Yankees are 13-5 at home this season. The Astros are 3-12 on the road. It's like, not going to complicate this. Just go ahead and take the Yankees. Will this be one of our pinned comment picks? I'm not 100% sure yet, but it feels like very good value to me. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox, who came through for us as huge underdogs yesterday, so that felt pretty great. Cleveland comes into this game. They're 24-13 on the season. They won their last game of their last series against the Tigers. They won that series 2-1. They've won 4 out of the last 5 games overall, so that's all got to feel pretty good. And they're handing the ball in this game to Ben Lively, who's 1-1 to start the season with a 2.08 ERA, so he's off to a very, very good start. He's only allowed 2 runs 1 time this season. Every other start, he's allowed 1 run. His last time out against the Angels, he looked great. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He has had a tendency to give up a couple walks here and there, but overall, he's looked very, very good. He's only making his 5th start of the season, and he hasn't gone up against like elite offensive teams, but are we really going to look at the Chicago White Sox as an elite offensive team, guys? I certainly do not think so. Looking at the Cleveland Bats, they've been looking pretty good as well. They've scored 5, 7, and 2 runs over their last 3 games. They've been hitting the ball reasonably well during this winning streak here. They're obviously missing Steven Kwan. He's going to be out for a while with that hamstring, but in general, I think we can expect decent things from this offense. I mean, they're 7th in the majors in runs scored, 13th in the majors in on-base percentage, and while we'll expect those numbers to have a little bit of downward kind of fluctuation here with Kwan out, I don't think they're going to fall off of a cliff here. I think they're going to be okay. This is a team that's got enough depth, they've got enough hitters, they can kind of absorb that loss for a while until he comes back. They're hoping they can keep things rolling here, going up against the White Sox, who are coming off of that big win in Game 3 of that series against the Rays. The White Sox are only 9-28 on the season, though, so that can't feel great. They're handing the ball in this game to Eric Feedy, who's off to a 2-0 start with a 3.46 ERA. Although his last time out against the light-hitting St. Louis Cardinals, he got banged up, guys. He only went 4 1/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 5 earned runs. He had 5 walks in that start, guys. It was kind of, I mean, there's been some weather going through there, so I'll give him a little bit of a pass on that one. But man, not a good outing against a very bad hitting team. And he's had a couple of hiccup-style outings this season. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he had a bad outing early in the season back on the 10th against the Guardians, where he gave up 4 earned runs in 5 innings on 4 hits. He gave 3 home runs in that outing. Not a great look. Can't be too excited to be going up against the team that roughed him up the last time, and he's probably not too excited with the offense that's been put together behind him. I mean, they did score 4 runs in their last game, but before that, they had only scored 3 runs over 2 games in the series, so things not exactly trending in a fantastic direction right now for the White Sox. This isn't a team that has expectations this season. They're the worst hitting team in the majors, pretty much by a large margin. Not going to expect a lot of offense out of them, and that leads into the prices we're seeing for these two teams. We've got Cleveland at minus 145. We've got the White Sox at plus 134. We've got an over-under of 8 or 8.5, so it's a pick-your-own poison kind of situation there. But, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Guardians minus 145 in this one. We've got plenty of faith here in Lively. We don't have any faith here in Feedy, who's going up against a team that already roughed him up once this year. So go ahead and give me the Cleveland Guardians 145. This will definitely be in our pinned comment and could end up being our biggest bet of the day. Next up, guys, we have the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road here to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cardinals come into this game. Their game yesterday against the Mets ended up getting postponed, so they're just moving on to this series against the Brewers. Thought to make that one up at some point, but things are looking pretty bleak for the Cardinals lately. They're 15-21 on the season. We just saw Contreras go down with a broken arm, and that was a tough look. If you've seen that replay, if you've seen that injury, not a fun time, just getting nailed there. That's tough. But looking at this game for them, they're going to have Sonny Gray out there on the mound for this one, as he was slated to start yesterday, but now will be starting today instead. He's been fantastic this season. He's coming off of a 3-hit, 0-run, 7-inning performance against the White Sox. Before that, he had a little bit of trouble against the Mets, but before that, he looked very good against the Brewers. And in general this season, the guy's 4-1 with a 0.89 ERA. Like, no bones to pick here with Sonny Gray. He's an absolute monster out there. One of the few bright spots for the Cardinals this season. We haven't seen their offense look very good at all. It's not going to get better. In this one, we see Nolan Arenado. He's warming up a little bit here, but not hitting the ball nearly well enough to be carrying this offense, especially with Contreras going down. They're 28th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in on-base percentage, and I really don't see any hope of those numbers getting significantly better here moving forward. And looking at their opponent, it's very likely, even with the Cardinals ace on the mound, that they're going to have to score some runs. The Milwaukee Brewers come into this game. They're not having the best time, not going to lie. We did see Christian Yelich come back off the injury list, but Other than that, not a lot of bright spots right now. They've lost 4 of their last 5 overall. They lost their last game of their series against the Kansas City Royals 6-4. They're 21-15 overall. They're handing the ball in this game to Tobias Myers, who's 0-2 on the season with a 6.23 ERA. Not exactly what they've been hoping for out of him. Over his last 2 starts, he's given up a total of 8 earned runs over a total of 8 innings. That's not going to work, guys. That's not going to get the job done. He's given up 4 home runs over those 2 starts. Yeah, just not looking good. Didn't look good against the Cubs last time out. We haven't seen the Brewers really even have a chance to win a game that he started, except for his first start of the year, which is against the Pirates. I'll give him credit for that one. But in general, he has not looked good, not really settling into the season so far. And while he hasn't taken on the weakest hitting teams, he also hasn't taken on the strongest. Like, the Cubs are not really anything special at the plate right now. Obviously, the Yankees are good, but the Pirates haven't been that great hitting team lately at all. So the fact that he's been struggling lately can't feel great. The Milwaukee Brewers bats haven't looked amazing either. I mean, obviously Yelich coming back is supposed to give him a boost, but it could take him a little bit to work back into form here. We've seen Contreras get off to a good start, but while this team is 10th in the majors in runs scored over their last few games, they've scored a 4, 6, 2, 0, 5, 3, like not the kind of elite offensive numbers that are going to carry a team to wins if they're not getting amazing starting pitching. So the question will be what they can get out of Tobias Myers in this one, and guys, I'm not too high on him at the moment. But looking at this game, it's a little bit tough. We see the Cardinals are minus 108, the Brewers are plus 106 with a bad starter on the mound, so that doesn't feel super appealing. I mean, obviously the Cardinals have a great starter on the mound, but will they score any runs even against a mediocre starter? I guess, guys, we're going to go ahead and side with the Cardinals on the road in this one. We haven't seen Milwaukee be that great at home. The Cardinals are 9-10 on the road, so that's not terrible. Looking at the over-under in this game, we see it's at 8.5. We see the Brewers are an MLB best 21-14-1 to the over. The Cardinals are 22-12-2 to the under, so that's a little bit of a wash to me. I mean, I don't think we're going to see a ton of offense necessarily in this game, but you never really know. Guys, I'm going to be taking just a small taste here of the Cardinals, but this is not a pinned comment play for me. Next up on the slate, guys, we're looking at the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. The Royals come into this game fresh off of winning a 3-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. They won that series 2-1. They're up to 22-16 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Michael Wacha, who's off to a very up and down start, but it's been a lot of downs lately, guys. He got absolutely shelled by the Texas Rangers his last time out. He gave up 9 hits and 7 earned runs in 3 1/3. In his start before that against the Detroit Tigers, he went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 4 earned runs on 9 hits. He just doesn't seem like he's got it right now. He's a big guy. He's a solid right-hander. He's always had good stuff, like even back when he was on the Cardinals and stuff. But, man, the guy has kind of struggled to find a long-term home, and you're starting to see some of the reasons why. He's only 1-4 on the season, 5.50 ERA, not exactly getting the job done. We have seen the Royals only win 1 out of his 5 starts, and Kansas City's been off to a good start to this season. They're hitting the ball relatively well. They're 11th in the majors in runs scored, but they're going to have to put up some runs here, it looks like, with Walk out on the mound. It has not been easy for him. They're only 20th in the majors in on-base percentage, so we could see a little bit of regression here. And yeah, I don't know, not too high on the Royals in this spot, but I'm also not too high on their opponents in this one, which is the Angels. They have won 2 games in a row, so that's nice for them, but they're only 14-23 on the season. Things are not trending in a positive direction for their offense, although they are hitting the ball a little bit better over the last 2 games. You can expect them to get better with Mike Trout going down, and they were going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, not really the toughest competition. They're handing the ball in this game to Reed Detmers, who's off to a reasonable start. He's 3-3 with a 4.24 ERA, but he's coming off a bad start against the Cleveland Guardians, guys. He only went 5 2/3 innings, gave up 7 earned runs on 5 hits. He gave up 3 home runs in that game. He had 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, just not having a fun time out there. We've seen the Angels lose his last 3 starts, and they haven't really been particularly close, so not a lot of faith here in Detmers. And while the Angels did hit the ball pretty well against the Pirates in that series, I mean, 1, 9, and 5 runs isn't exactly an insane series, but they'll definitely take it at this point because their offense has not been looking great. They're looking like at least a bottom third offense in the majors. They're 19th in runs scored, 19th in on-base percentage. Nobody really in there that scares opposing pitchers. Nobody really hitting the ball that well. Like, just not positives out there for the Angels at this moment. And yeah, guys, we're not too surprised here to see that the Royals are favorites in this game. It is fairly close, though, and some of that is probably due to the Royals not being a great road team. They're only 7-8 on the road, and some of that is also certainly due to Walker not having looked good this season. So kind of a tough overall, just tough to find value on this game. We see the over-unders at 8.5 for this game. We see the Royals are a big under team. The Angels are a slight over team. So if you think Waka's going to have a great outing, you could maybe lean towards the under. But guys, just in general in this game, I'm going to go ahead and side with the Royals. They've been playing a little bit better, and maybe they get a good start from Waka, but there is absolutely no chance that I'm betting this game with Waka on the mound. We have no idea what to expect from that guy. So go ahead and give me the Royals if you're gun to my head making me bet this game, but I will not be wagering on this myself. Switching things up a little bit here on this short MLB slate, we're going to throw in the two NBA games that are going on tonight. First up, we've got the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Boston Celtics here in the Eastern Conference playoffs. We did see the Celtics get a very convincing 25-point win in Game 1 of this series. We did see Jared Allen sit this one out for the Cavaliers. We didn't really see anybody except for Donovan Mitchell, shocker of the century, have a very good game for the Cavaliers in Game 1, which I guess isn't a huge shock. I mean, they had just gotten out of a crazy, tough 7-game series against the Orlando Magic, but they got aggressively carried in that one by Mitchell, so kind of makes sense that we'd see him have a big game and everybody else suck it up again. We saw the Cavaliers only shoot 11 of 42 from three-point range, 26.2% from three. You are not going to beat the Boston Celtics shooting the ball like that. They only shot 41% from the field overall. They did not really hold up on the boards whatsoever. They got dominated on the boards, so maybe they need Jared Allen back out there in a much worse way than I would have thought, but man, things did not look good for the Cavaliers in that game. The question for them in this one is going to be, are they going to get healthy? Are they going to have Allen back out there? Obviously, that makes a very big difference for them, but right now, guys, it's not looking like it. I mean, he's officially questionable for this game with a rib injury, and you would really think you could kind of gut out a rib injury, but he wasn't able to in Game 1, and we don't have a clear indication of whether or not he'll be able to here in Game 2. The Celtics in Game 2 did not look like they missed Porzingis at all. They won the rebounding battle 55-38, so a dominant performance on the boards overall, just fantastic. We saw Jaylen Brown really carry the load. Tatum kind of took a back seat in that game. He went 0 for 5 from 3, so playoff Jason Tatum definitely starting to look like a thing, guys, and not a good thing at all. Not feeling too great about him. Obviously, Brown looked great. Derek White continues to just be a man on fire. No hair, so he can't say like he's playing with his hair on fire, but my God, he's looking great. He went 7 of 12 from three-point range. He's a big part of the reason the Celtics shot almost 40%. They really didn't have a great night shooting from three-point range. I mean, obviously, like we were just talking about, we saw Tatum go 0 of 5. We saw Horford go 1 for 5. Drew Holiday only went 2 of 7. Like, they did not have a great time shooting the ball from distance, and they still won this game comfortably. We saw Pritchard play 24 big minutes off the bench. It's nice to see him getting some run here and playing well. And yeah, just in general, the Celtics were looking dominant in this series. They only had 6 turnovers in that game. We saw the Celtics only have 5, so very low turnover games here, but yeah, the Celtics just clearly the better team. I mean, they were even in free throws, and we see the Celtics lose by 25 points. Like, that's some pretty crazy stuff. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see Cleveland, pretty big underdogs. They're plus 13.5. Boston minus 13.5. We got an over-under in this game of 212. Guys, I tend to lean a little bit towards the Cavaliers to manage to keep a game close. I think they'll definitely have their chances, not to win this series, but to at least win a game. Boston's definitely a team that can just go ice cold shooting the ball, and there's nothing they can do to produce offense if that happens, so that's your chance to get them in a game, just like the Miami Heat did. Will this be the game? I think there's a chance. I think you could talk me into taking the Cavaliers here, plus 13.5, especially if we hear that Allen might end up playing in this game, but there's too much uncertainty on this one for me to be betting it myself. Also, looking at the over-under, I think there's a definite chance looking at the over could be a reasonable play. We see Boston was a slight over team this season. Not really enough that we could consider that a major edge, but we know they're going to pump up a ton of three-pointers, so that makes the over live, even if we see a bad scoring game from the Cavaliers once again. So give me a little taste of that over as well, but I don't think this is a good enough game for me to be betting. Looking at our last game on today's slate, guys, we've got the Western Conference Finals on the menu. We've got the Dallas Mavericks going on the road here to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 2. In Game 1, we saw the Thunder absolutely dominate. The Mavs did not have a good time. We saw Kyrie Irving score 20 points. Luka only scored 19 points in that game. He went 1 of 8 for 3, and yeah, things just not looking fantastic for the Mavericks. They were in this game for a while, guys, but there at the end, it just was very, very clear that the Thunder were the better team. I mean, not a lot of positives to report here for the Mavs. They lost the battle of the boards convincingly. They didn't shoot the ball well from 3. They didn't shoot the ball well from the free throw line either, which is a pretty big concern given how this series is being officiated compared to how some other series in the NBA are being officiated right now. But if Doncic and Kyrie don't play way, way better, there is absolutely no shot that the Mavs can win in the playoffs, or even that they could have won in the regular season, really. And the Thunder have a lot of very capable defenders that they can run out there against Luka and Kyrie. We saw the Thunder look very, very good in that game. They shot 45% from three-point range. Obviously not super sustainable there, but they out-rebounded the Mavs 52-39. That is a big, big deal. They shot the ball well from the free throw line, shot the ball pretty well from the field in general. We saw SGA go off for 29 points, but it really didn't feel like he played that great in this game overall. We saw Holmgren look very, very good. He didn't do anything crazy and ended up with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He just looked pretty reasonable out there. We saw Jalen Williams. He looked kind of bad at times, guys, especially in the first half. Did not look great. He finished things up 6 of 15 and looked very, very good down the stretch, but we can definitely expect more than 18 points out of him. Got a great shooting night there from Aaron Wiggins. That was nice to see. Gordon Hayward got a little bit of run, and hopefully we won't be seeing much more of him. Jalen Williams also went very, very well. He played, both the Williamses played great, so I think we can expect good things from the Thunder here moving forward, guys. And looking at the trends in this game, we do see Dallas as a very good road team, but we have to be a little bit concerned here with Luka's health. I mean, he's definitely dealing with something going on with that knee. Although when he's playing well, it seems like it's fine, and when he's playing bad, it seems like it hurts, so kind of hard to read that situation. He's listed as probable, so obviously we definitely expect him to play in this game, but I don't know, guys. All those things taken into account, we're leaning towards the Oklahoma City -5.5 in this one pretty aggressively. I think this has a very good chance to end up as one of our pinned comment plays. The Thunder are 29-15 against the spread at home this season. They looked clearly like the better team in this matchup in Game 1, so go ahead and give me the Thunder in this game. The over-under in this one's 218.5. I'm not super interested in that. I would maybe lean slightly towards the over, but I don't really care about that spot too much, guys. Just give me the Thunder -5.5. That's all the games we have for today. Hit that like button for good luck on all your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.